Good Wednesday afternoon to you. It's 4 o'clock. Time for Sports4CLE. A little bit later in the show, we will talk Cavs as Donovan Mitchell met the media, and Cleveland. We'll hear from Donovan Mitchell as well as Kobe Altman. Chris Fedor will join us to talk about that. We begin by talking Browns and some good news. Cade York was named the AFC Special Teams Player of the Week by the NFL today. And as Dan Murphy tweets, Cade York is the first Browns kicker to win AFC Special Teams Player of the Week since Phil Dawson in Week 15 of 2005. Let's welcome in Tim Bielik from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Tim, I don't know if we should celebrate or be concerned that it's been 17 years since a kicker has made an impact that has been recognized by the NFL.
I mean, I guess this Browns fans should be happy that they have a kicker again. I mean, considering the long history of kickers, that have struggled with the Browns since they let go of Phil Dawson. Not quite as infamous as the quarterback jersey history they've had, but it certainly has been a long time since they've had a guy who looked as good as Cade York did on Sunday. I mean, he made that 58-yarder, at the end of the game. There's so much pressure to make that kick. Not just to win the game, but the fact that it's a 58-yarder, and I mean, as long as in college was that 57-yard field goal he hit through the fog in Gainesville back in 2020. So no question about it, that was a tough kick he had to make, but he made it, and now he's kind of a folk hero in Cleveland, and we'll kind of see how he continues to progress, whether he can continue to be at that level, and if he is, you could put him up there maybe with the Justin Tuckers of the world, the Harrison Butkers of the world, the Evan McPhersons of the world, as far as the elite kickers in the NFL go. When it comes to that award, I'm surprised that it's been since 2005 since the Browns kicker has won it. You would think he would go back to, Phil Dawson when he kicked those 2 field goals in the snow against Buffalo in 2007. I mean, we all remember that. We remember, just how windy it was, how snowy it was, and he knocked through 2 long field goals in that weather. That alone should have been enough to win the award, but better late than never, I guess, for the Browns to have a kicker worth the recognition.
Yeah, without question. Now, Jamie Gillen, the punter, did win it in 2018, but York, the first kickers in 17 years. All right, Jacoby Brissett, Browns starting quarterback, talked about Cade York and the confidence that not only Brissett but the team has in him.
It's special. He was confident that he could get it from the 40, and we knew that was our mark going into the game, and then obviously going into that drive, Kev came and reminded me to where we needed to get to, and I just remember going back to a conversation me and Cade had, and he was telling me just get to the 40. Definitely look forward to him making more of those. Like you said, it's the first game of the season, but glad he got to do that for us in week 1 and his first NFL start. So
there's confidence, and then there's confidence, and he seems to exude that.
Yeah.
How rare is it to see in kind of a rookie and just in general?
One from a rookie that's rare, but from a kicker that's even more rare. He puts in the work, so he should be confident. And he should want the ball in his foot at the end of the game. He like I said, he was confident, and that's more than half the battle right there.
And, the thing that's going to be interesting, Tim, is to see how Kevin Stefanski plays 4th downs. He's gone for it a couple times. He went for it early in that game. After the rookie makes the 58-yarder, this offense needs to just put points on the board. Just put points on the board, and get the lead.
Yes, absolutely, especially with Jacoby Brissett as the starting quarterback for these next 10 games. Any points you can get are a bonus. And this is the advantage the Ravens have had for years, is basically as soon as they hit midfield of the opponent's 45-yard line, they're already in field goal range. And I think you can kind of essentially count the 40-yard line right now for the Browns as that field goal range. And when you have that kicker who has that leg, and he's obviously hit 70-yard field goals in warm-ups. I don't think anybody's expecting him to hit a 70-yard field goal right away, but that from 60 and in, that you have a very good chance to make the field goal. That opens up the possibilities, for more scoring drives. And obviously people want 4 touchdowns and field goals, but 3 points is better than none. And we saw just how effective York was, how good those kicks looked. I mean, even that 58-yarder looked like it was starting to his right and then bent back to the left to go right kind of over the middle there. It looked like he still could have still had about 10 more yards. He could have made that field goal, but he's definitely got a lot of strength in that kick, and he's very accurate too. And, Jacoby was talking about just the work that Cade York puts in. I mean, my colleague Ashley Bastock did a great feature on Cade York about how process-oriented he's become. And when you see a player who puts in that kind of work into his craft, he's got a reason to be confident because, he understands what he has to do. He thinks these things through a lot, and when you put in the work, you have a reason to be confident.
Yeah, absolutely. Read that article on Cade York by Ashley Bastock, the kind of the pursuit of perfection that he knows he's not going to be able to achieve, but still pursuing it. All right, we're going to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. We also want to encourage you. We want your predictions. Let us know what you think is going to happen in Week 2 against the Jets, just like you did last week. Friday, we will play a bunch of the predictions that we get on the voicemail of Truth and Reason, and then if somebody nails it like somebody did last week, we'll hear about it on Monday. But this voicemail of Truth and Reason, talking about Jacoby Brissett.
Hello, this is Ron from down in Clayton, Ohio, and I'd just like to say a couple things. Number one, I want to say congrats to the Browns for winning the first game in 17 years at the start of the season, so that's a great thing. Obviously, the people who picked us to win 6 games the entire season are now reevaluating their comments. I'm a little put off by some of the people asking how long is the leash for Jacoby Brissett. The guy took hardly any reps in the preseason, and he looked relatively decent yesterday. Give the guy a break. But another thing that is really bothering me is the Browns really kind of letting Hunt go away. And I'll tell you, him on the right side, Chubb on the left side, him up the middle, Chubb around the other side. Those two guys are the best tandem in the entire NFL, in my opinion. I say pay the man. There's a continuity there. The line kind of knows what they're going to do. They've been together for a while. Go ahead and pay the man. I'd like to know what you guys think about that. Thanks so much. As always, go Browns. Woof.
Appreciate all the voicemails. Tim, I understand where people that want to pay Kareem Hunt are coming from. It's got to make sense financially, but I do like the idea of trying to keep Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt together.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to be tricky with the salary cap dollars. It would take maybe a restructuring of a big-time contract next year to really give you the salary cap space needed to pay Kareem Hunt. And let's also remember, he's 27 this year. We know that NFL running backs have a history of, tailing off. They don't exactly have long careers. So we'll have to see, if the Browns would be willing to pay a running back who will be big money, who's going to be 20 next season. And I think that's a big reason also why they drafted Jerome Ford in the draft, and back in April. I think he's got the ability to be a capable running back. We saw how effective he was in the preseason. He had a nice kickoff return in Carolina on Sunday. And let's remember also, when you're talking about, the payroll of a team with a high-priced quarterback, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. And maybe you can't have 2 high-priced running backs because then that cuts into your ability to pay everybody else, especially when you're going to have to pay some big contracts to the defense in a couple of years. I mean, Greg Newsome and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah will be up for deals in a couple of years. You're going to have to figure out what you do with defensive tackle. So there's tough financial decisions that come into play with it. This is the case with any team. And going back to what he was talking about with Jacoby Brissett at the beginning, yeah, he obviously struggled at the beginning. I think there was rust he needed to knock off. He missed some throws early, but I thought it was important, and I think it's significant that when he absolutely needed to make throws in the fourth quarter, those were the throws he needed to make. The big third down, Anthony Schwartz set up a field goal, and then on the final drive, connecting with Donovan Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper to get into position for Cade York to kick the game-winning field goal. Those are the kind of throws you need Jacoby Brissett to hit. You don't need him to be Justin Herbert or Josh Allen, but if you need him to make those throws at the end of a game, he needs to do that, and he showed on Sunday he's capable of that.
Yeah, and again, a work in progress, likely to get better as he gets a little more familiar with the game speed of everybody, Amari Cooper included. All right, Brissett talked about what the offense needs to do better.
It just starts with us. a lot of the things that halted us was our communication, our fundamentals and technique, and our things that had nothing to do with the opposing team, but everything to do with us. So that this week is to clean those things up and get ready for a tough opponent.
Do you feel like now that you have a game under your belt with this team, it'll help you settle in, and play better week to week?
That's the plan, to play better every week. So looking forward to that this week, and yeah.
And Tim, game speed's a little different, even if you're in joint practices or anything. Everything's ratcheted up a notch. You got to deal with some emotions. So hopefully it is kind of a work in progress that gets better each and every week.
I think that's got to be the goal for this offense, because you can't necessarily rely on your running backs to get you 200 yards every single game. As the season goes on with Brissett at quarterback, teams are just going to key in on that run and try and dare Jacoby Brissett to beat them. And then it comes down to, timing and chemistry with Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Now, Brissett and Peoples-Jones certainly had that chemistry working on Sunday. Peoples-Jones had some big catches. I mentioned that 13-yarder he had on that final drive in the fourth quarter. I thought that was massive. We really didn't see a lot of Amari Cooper. I know he had that one catch, but, he was targeted a bunch, and just they weren't able to connect. You got to imagine that's going to get better as they rep it more in practice, as they get more game work, over these next few weeks. I mean, it's not just with the Browns. I mean, typically what, early season success sometimes can correlate to how many reps guys get in the preseason, those games. I know those games aren't important as far as results go, but just kind of getting a feel of game speed, trying to get an idea of what that feels like. Jacoby got a half of it, and some of the guys he got a chance to play with, you kind of see some of that there. I mean, Peoples-Jones, again, with those catches, he had a nice throw, I believe it was to Harrison Bryant. I think the key going forward is they're going to have to try and find ways to incorporate Amari Cooper and David Njoku more into the passing game. That's something I expect will just come with time.
Yeah, and I would expect more and more of that week 2 against the Jets. Tim Bielik and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out. Other side of the break, we'll head back to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. We'll also turn our attention to the defense. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Tim Bielik from The Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. We want you to call our voicemail of Truth and Reason with your predictions for Week 2. Tell us who you think is going to win, what you think the score will be, some of the key elements of that game. We will play them back for you Friday. We're going to head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason. This one about the logo that will be at midfield at First Energy Stadium for Browns this season.
Dave, this is Cassius, the quintessential Cleveland Browns fan. Great win for us this past Sunday. We're going to get another one this upcoming Sunday. But my call today is about this F that they're going to place the logo at midfield. Now, we don't want no F. What are they thinking about? We dogs. That's what we are. We want to instill fear in the opponent. You can't put no fear into the opponent with the elf. I just don't like that. We don't need to be gimmicky. We the Cleveland Browns, the dog pound. So let me know what you think about this logo they're going to put in the center field. It looked like something, a cartoon. These grown men out there playing. He's not no little kids or something like that. So I just don't like that. But other than that, you know, it doesn't matter. I'm going to ride with the Browns no matter what's going on. Go Cleveland Browns, 2-0 after Sunday.
All right. Cassius, I appreciate the voicemail. Love you dearly. I like the elf. Now, the elf is historically a Browns logo. It was back in the 40s and 50s. Tim, you and I were talking about, you told me something I did not realize, why the elf was kind of pushed away from the Browns.
Now, this isn't like confirmed, but it was phased out in the 60s shortly after Art Modell became the owner. So I think he seems like he played a role in why the logo is not the elf anymore, why it's just the orange and brown helmet. That's the logo of the Browns. But obviously, this logo has a lot of history behind it. You mentioned it, kind of when they came back. They became the Browns in the late 1940s, and throughout the 50s, they had this logo. And there's tradition behind it. We know Cleveland is a very traditional city. Cleveland likes throwbacks. That's something that, you know, is going to be there forever as far as, you know, just the heritage of the city. They appreciate the classic style of everything. And I think Brownie the Elf kind of strikes a chord with that. And it's kind of interesting, you know, the reaction around Cleveland from what I saw on social media about Brownie the Elf was largely positive. Around the nation, it's a different story where most people who aren't familiar with the Browns don't quite understand what Brownie the Elf meant and what he means to, you know, what he means to the organization and its history dating back to the days of Paul Brown, Otto Graham, and when they won all those championships way back in the day. There's a lot of identification with that, and it's kind of fun to see the Browns embrace those roots.
Yeah, and you know, if fans don't like it, it's okay. I mean, it's not something to get all upset about. I just do. I happen to like it. This, on the other hand, is quite interesting. This is Kevin Stefanski took over the Browns head coach 2020. The Browns are 18-3 when tying or winning the turnover differential battle. Browns won that against the Panthers, one turnover and did not turn the ball over. So it's just interesting. And that 18-3, it's higher. I believe it's something like 78% is what the league average is. When you win the turnover differential, you win it. But that's why Kevin Stefanski harps on, we got to take the ball away, we got to win the turnover battle.
As every team should. You know, that's kind of a fundamental premise, no matter what kind of style of offense you try to run or however you run your defense, whether you're very aggressive and attacking the quarterback or if you want to sit back and play coverage. Every coach is going to emphasize the same thing. Getting turnovers is going to make a difference because there's the momentum you create off of those. I mean, you look at the game on Sunday, the Grant Delpit interception was what turned into the first touchdown of the game. You know, after that pass interference call in the end zone when the defender kind of ran right through Amari Cooper in the end zone, and then the next play, Jacoby Brissett throws a 1-yard touchdown to Kareem Hunt in the flat. That's created off turnovers. And when you get turnovers, you create short fields, you create sudden changes, and then all of a sudden, you know, when the other team's defense comes out, maybe they're kind of frustrated. Wait a minute, why are we back on the field? And that indecisiveness, that sudden moment when you're supposed to prepare, you're supposed to make adjustments, get rest, all of a sudden that's gone, and you have to go right back out on the football field. That's where an offense can take advantage of something. We saw the Browns do that to a great effect on Sunday.
Gave up 3 big plays. There were a couple of miscommunications. One led to a 75-yard touchdown to Robbie Anderson, long touchdown pass to the tight end Ian Thomas, and then basically a fumble that McCaffrey picked up and ran 28 yards. Other than that, the Browns shut down some talented skill position players for the Panthers. Anthony Walker talked about that Browns defensive performance.
That's not good enough. We talked about being elite defense, and part of that is not giving the offense anything, making them earn everything, and we felt like we gave them a couple plays that they didn't earn, that we kind of gifted them, and it's not okay. So we got a long way to go.
What about the way that you guys handled Christian McCaffrey? For the most part, were you pretty happy with how that went?
Yeah, for the most part. We let a couple plays get out. The screen pass, the one when the ball just kind of bobbled around in the backfield, he picks it up and, gets 20, 30 yards. For for the most part, we was able to do, a good job on them. But again, we want to, we want to suffocate a team and, put any energy that they have away. And we gave them life, and that's why they were able to be in the game so long.
Tim, I like the idea because if the Browns are going to be successful, especially the first 11 games, that defense can't have lapses.
Definitely not. And I mean, I think that is going to happen from time to time. And I know anything Walker, talking about trying to have a perfect mindset, perfection's impossible. We kind of alluded to that earlier when we were talking about Cade York, but the idea that, they're not satisfied with their performance. I think that, that's a good way. That's a good approach that they're having. I mean, they gave up a bunch of points, especially, in that fourth quarter, and they gave up 17 points to Baker Mayfield and company. That those two big passes that you mentioned there, the one to Robbie Anderson, the one to Ian Thomas, all of a sudden, after giving them 7 points through 3 quarters, your defense looks great. You're shutting Baker Mayfield down. All of a sudden, they got 17 points on the board. There's 24 up in there, and all of a sudden your defensive performance doesn't look as good. And that's, I think, where, focus comes into play, where communication comes into play, being consistent and making sure an offense earns those things on you. If an offense just makes great plays consistently because they just do great things, they make great throws, great catches, great runs, you tip your cap to that. Because as a defense in today's NFL, there's only so much you could do. But those big plays kind of were self-inflicted wounds, just coverage mistakes, just letting guys go by. And even in that 75-yard touchdown, you got to have a type of defensive mentality where you're not going to let anybody get behind you. And then, of course, Robbie Anderson got behind the defense, scored a 75-yard touchdown, and all of a sudden the momentum in that game flipped to where the Browns ended up needing Cade York to hit that 58-yard field goal to win the game.
All right, before we go to break, Pro Football Focus takes a look at the highest grade defenders for Week 1 in the NFL. And tops in the league, Myles Garrett at 94.4. Jerry Hughes was second. Simmons third. Max Crosby fourth. Chris Jones fifth. But, yeah, Myles Garrett was very, very good. And there were stretches where he kind of wrecked the Panthers' offense.
I think that's the Myles Garrett the Browns really need to – ensure they have the best possible record when Jacoby Brissett hands over the reins of the starting quarterback job back to Deshaun Watson. He's not going to get multiple sacks every game. He's not going to force a fumble every single game, but he needs to be a havoc creator, just like he was on Sunday. Just find ways to create disruption. He's not going to be able to go up against a rookie every single time. I think Ike Ekwonu, the Panthers left tackle, has got a chance to be a really good guy, really good left tackle for Carolina. That was just a bad matchup for him going against one of the best pass rushers in football in Myles Garrett. And, kudos to Garrett for exploiting that matchup with playing as well as he did. It's just going to be a matter of, can he be disruptive? Can he draw those double teams consistently and occasionally win one or two? Because if he's drawing double teams, that's going to free up things for guys like Jadeveon Clowney, Jordan Elliott, Alex Wright, the rest of the Browns defensive line to do their sort of thing. And if Myles is holding his own, if he's causing chaos and really wrecking an offense's game plan, even if the stats don't show it, that's the ideal thing you want out of Myles. And Sunday, the stats and the eye test match up to that Pro Football Focus grade, and it all just shows just how dominant he was.
Tim Bielik from cleveland.com, Plain Dealer, and I are going to step aside, take a quick time out, other side of the break. We'll turn our attention to this Sunday. We'll take a look at the Jets. Browns facing them in the home opener. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
We continue talking Browns with Tim Bielik from the Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. Browns won their opener 1-0 for the first time since 2005. All right, let's take a look. If they are able to go 2-0, it would be the first time since 1993 and just the second time in the past 43 years that the Browns have been 2-0. Tim, that I don't know what to say. That those are hard to believe numbers.
Yeah, that's very hard to believe, but it sounds right when, the Browns win a opener for the first time in 18 years. You can't go 2-0 unless you're 1-0. That's just the way football works. When you're constantly starting 0-1, you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball. And I mean, starting fast obviously correlates to having postseason trips, and obviously they've only gone 3 times since that 1993 season when they started 2-0. So, I mean, it just kind of goes to show just the historic struggle this franchise has had over the past several decades. At least 1999, 2000, you can understand it a little bit just with the fact that this was an expansion football team. They're still kind of figuring each other out. But again, the fact that it took 18 years to go from 2004 to 2022, between those years, they hadn't won an opener, which is shocking. I mean, it's like I said, it's historic. But if the Browns going on Sunday, they can start to erase some bad history, which they've been able to do since 2018. Erase some of that bad history. Now the step's going to be just, can they turn that into good history?
All right, so it is the Jets in the home opener. Kevin Stefanski today talked about the Jets.
The Jets, I got a ton of respect for Coach Saleh. Our defense and their defense share some DNA, obviously with Joe spending time with Coach Saleh in San Francisco. But really, really sound defense, as we know, good players at all 3 levels. I think the defensive line is outstanding. And then talented players, a first-round pick in the secondary making plays. Offensively, again, similar schematically. There's always differences, but there are similarities in some of the things that they're doing on offense. And then special teams, really, really good unit. Coach Boyer does an outstanding job with those guys. So we really will have our work cut out for us, and all 3 sides of the ball have to play a complete game, a 60-minute game, but looking forward to the challenge.
And that kind of reminds me that Joe Woods, 49ers, there was a common bond there. So the Jets head coach is used to the Browns defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I think that'll certainly help the Jets a little bit. And when I look at the Jets, obviously, there's the quarterback question. Joe Flacco is going to start on Sunday, and he did not look good against his former team in the Ravens. Looking at the numbers, yeah, he threw for 307 yards, but he had an interception, got sacked 3 times, did not really look good in that game. That's going to be the key for the Browns, is trying to pressure Joe Flacco and give him some different looks. The one interesting thing about the Jets that I like is they have a lot of intriguing young players. Kevin Stefanski was talking about that first-round pick, Sauce Gardner to the corner. I expect he's going to be matched up on Amari Cooper a lot. That's a matchup I'm excited to watch. Can Amari Cooper kind of show Sauce Gardner what it takes to defend a number 1 receiver, or can Sauce, continue to play like he did in college, where he didn't give up a touchdown in his entire collegiate career, which is something else. And then on the other side of the ball, you've got, the Jets have an interesting rookie running back in Breece Hall to go along with Michael Carter as a second-year back. Got a veteran in Corey Davis. Then you got a couple intriguing young receivers in Elijah Moore and the former Ohio State product, Garrett Wilson, who was the 10th pick in that draft by the Jets. So some interesting young players to keep an eye on for the Jets. This could be a tricky game if the Browns, don't approach it with the right mindset. And if Jacoby Brissett can, continue, if he can progress, make more of the throws that he missed a week ago, the Browns should be in a good position to get to 2-0, I think.
So one of the things that's going to be important is running the football, and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt talked about they realize they complement each other, and it's going to be important for them to continue to get it done going forward.
They can't stop you.
Yeah, that's part of our offense. I mean, everyone knows we're a run-first team. It's not a secret, and that's what we pride ourselves on. O-line does a great job up front, and I mean, after that, it's up to me and Kareem to break tackles and get the extra 30 yards, and I think that's something that we both do well. Yeah, I think so. I think Kareem, he brings a lot of energy to the team, a lot of intensity, and I feed off of that. When Kareem's in, he's running the ball hard. It gets me going, so I enjoy playing with him.
Kareem, you feel the same?
Oh, yeah, I most definitely feel the same. You know, seeing, Chubb start off the game real strong and stuff, I can't wait to get out there and, give him a break and, bring the same intensity and, physicality.
So, Tim, what do you think? How difficult will it be for the Browns to run the football against the Jets? They held Ravens to I think it was 3 yards per carry running the football. And then how do you see this one playing out?
Yeah, I think it could be interesting to see how it works because, I mean, again, Baltimore wants to run the football as much as anybody, if not more than anybody. You look at the yards. Lamar Jackson only rushed 17 yards in the game. That's a very low number for Lamar Jackson, but Baltimore found other ways to beat the Jets, and they did so through the air. I think this could be an interesting matchup. How do the Jets play the run? How aggressively do they play against Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt? And what does that open up for Jacoby Brissett? What does that open up for the screen pass game? I think that in particular is going to have to be used a few times. Screen passes to Kareem Hunt, maybe even a tight end screen or two to David Njoku just to kind of throw some changeups. So, you don't catch the Jets leaning one way or the other. And I think the key, I'm probably going to sound like a broken record for this one and probably the rest of the season. It's going to be about that line of scrimmage. Can the Browns be physical up front? Can they create holes? Can they rip off some chunk plays against this Jets defense? And can they get an early lead? Because as we know with, Jacoby Brissett, he can make throws if he has to, but you don't want to rely on him to have to bring you back from a large deficit if possible. That puts a lot of pressure on the run game and on the defense to kind of keep everything contained. Set the table for your quarterback, make his life easier. And the key is going to also have to be getting some turnovers. The Jets gave the ball away a couple of times against Baltimore. The Browns are going to have to continue to feed on those takeaways, create short fields, and at the very worst, set up 3-point opportunities.
Tim Bielik, Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com, as always. Appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks very much, Tim.
Thanks for having me, guys. Have a good day.
All right, Tim Bielik, make sure you read them. Pages of the Plain Dealer, as well as cleveland.com. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. Brad Ward from brownswire.com, as well as the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast straight ahead. Stay with us. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I am powerful beyond my wildest imagination.
I will define my future.
I will keep challenging myself to improve.
Because I am a future leader of this great nation.
I will be responsible for raising a beautiful family.
And educating not only my generation, but many more to come.
I will make a difference in my community.
And I will stand up for what I believe in.
I will not settle for simply chasing my dreams. I will achieve them.
Because I was given a chance.
An opportunity.
A home.
At Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America.
The ultimate leadership experience.
FCCLA has been one of the greatest experiences of my life.
It's made me who I am today.
Join us. We'll build a new future together.
We continue talking Browns. We want you to call our voicemail of Truth and Reason and give us your prediction for the Browns-Jets game. We'll play them back on Friday. Donovan Peoples-Jones, outstanding performance week 1 against the Panthers. In fact, he tied for first in the NFL with 3 contested catches in that game against Panthers. He was 5th in the league last year with 16 contested catches. Let's welcome in Brad Ward, Browns Wire, All Eyes on Cleveland podcast. And Brad, the Browns needed somebody to step up. Donovan Peoples-Jones did in week 1.
Incredibly impressive, Dave. It was amazing. Not only the contested catches, but Jacoby throwing a lot of balls towards the ground. His ability to go down and catch the ball on one knee and not letting the ball touch the ground. It was really an impressive performance. He came up clutch time after time. The strength of his hands to catch the ball like that and extend it away from defenders, he was just outstanding through the whole thing. And you know, we talked a lot about this wide receiver room, right? And honestly, on Sunday, it wasn't an issue because Donovan Peoples-Jones played outstanding and Cooper played well, despite what his numbers said, the penalties that he caused, and the routes that he ran, the holding penalty and the pass interference call, both loomed large in that game. So he still played a really good game despite just showing 3 catches for 17 yards. So really I would say that the wide receiver room concerns didn't really show up on Sunday as much because they kind of hit wide receiver 3 by committee.
Yeah, and you know, if Brissett hits Cooper down the sideline, the numbers immediately jump up, and we're not talking about 3 for 17. Jacoby Brissett, Kevin Stefanski talked about Donovan Peoples-Jones and his importance to this offense.
It was great to see. You know, he played big. A lot of those were huge plays that we needed at the right time, and he came up for us. You know, talking to Donovan, he lives for those moments. He was ready for it, and obviously made a lot of those plays. Just got to continue to work and get more of them. Huge,
early and late. You know, he's a guy that we really have trusted since the moment he stepped on campus. He's going to be where he's supposed to be. He's physical. He can run away from you. He can separate, and has done that over the course of time. Just in that game, they have some good DBs in that last one. So they were playing sticky in coverage at times, and he went up and got the ball.
Again, Kevin Stefanski talking about the play of Donovan Peoples-Jones from the wide receiver position. Another young guy who stepped up when the Browns needed him, James Hudson at right tackle, got the start because Jack Conklin couldn't go, and we see Pro Football Focus grade 76.00. The pass blocking grade, pretty good, 73.3, and the run blocking grade, almost 81. So James Hudson getting it done. And Kevin Stefanski just talked about what they saw from the second-year guy stepping in, filling in for the injured Jack Conklin. Here's Kevin Stefanski on James Hudson.
Yeah, I think general understanding of what we're doing, what we're asking him to do, how he's supposed to do it. There's no shortage of individual drill that he's had with Coach Callahan and Coach Peters. So I think just refining his technique. But he's a young player. Remember, previously was a defensive lineman. So there's a lot of things in the offensive line that are nuanced, and it takes time for a young player. He's working very, very hard at it. I think he's doing a nice job.
And again, James Hudson got the start. Right tackle, played really well. You could see the improvement from the end of last year to the beginning of this year, and that's what you want to see from any young player. We're going to step aside, take a quick time out. We will continue talking Browns here on Sports4CLE. We'll turn our attention a little bit to the Jets game coming up. Sports4CLE will be right back. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
Maybe cliche, but there's no I in team.
only identity that matters is we. The collective effort to love thy neighbor is needed now more than ever. The responsibility behind pronouns such as I, me, and mine impact we, us, and ours. So understand that you make all the difference in the team. He, him, her, or she can't disturb our peace, since we control our destiny as student athletes. This is the power of pronouns.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine. We continue talking Browns here on Sports4CLE. We want you to call the voicemail of Truth and Reason. Leave your prediction for the Browns-Jets game. Give us a couple of facts that you think will happen. We will play them back on Friday. Joe Flacco will be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets when they come to visit First Energy Stadium. He is 0-10 in his last 10 starts with the Broncos as well as the Jets. And you go back further, 3-17 in his last 20. That includes starts with the Ravens, the Broncos, and the Jets. So Flacco, a guy that's veteran, has had a really successful career, has struggled as of late, not the most mobile. Anthony Walker talked about what he sees in Joe Flacco and that Jets offense.
That experience, they run a good system over there. A lot of shifts in motion, similar to, what our offense does. So, we have to be kind of on our P's and Q's. This is like a rules game for us, where we just got to execute what we do, which is, I can say that every week, but a little bit more this week with the things that they do. But like you said, that experience that he has is very crucial for them.
What do you mean, more specifically this week, the rules you're referring to? What are you talking about for this week?
Yeah, just alignment assignment. A lot of alignments this week. A lot of jet motions, a lot of jog motions, whatever it is that they do. A lot of shifts and everything like that they do with the tight ends. So, just getting into the right alignment after the play. They'll put you on one formation, shift you to another. So we just have to, be able to move to the right gaps and stuff like that.
Brad Ward from BrownsWire.com, as well as the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. Flacco, that's a guy that, you kind of scratch your head with him. It's a guy that's got a big arm, but not even remotely mobile anymore.
No, he is a statue, and surprisingly, he threw it 59 times, which was shocking to me when I looked at their stats from week 1. So 59 throws for Flacco. I guess they're going to – and he's not afraid to push it down the field. So, the Browns are going to it's interesting. Both defenses know each other well, with Saleh and Joe Woods both coming from that same Seattle cover 3 background. So it'll be interesting to see how they try to exploit the Browns defense with, those zone cover 3 beaters, kind of the same stuff that broke down the defense on Sunday. But him throwing it 59 times, and they've got some good weapons over there. Some young, athletic guys that can stretch the field. So the Browns will certainly have to shore up those busted coverage plays and get pressure on Flacco. Ultimately, pressure will be the key, right? And they were successful at that. And the offensive line, I saw, dropped 11 spots. The Jets' offensive line did, as far as PFF rating, the farthest of any team after week 1. So not a great performance from their offensive line. So the Browns should be able to get to Flacco, and him not being able to move should be good.
Yeah. And Mekhi Becton and Brown, they're 2 tackles. They're projected starting tackles. Neither one of them expected to go. This one from Dog Pound Daily. 5 bold predictions for week 2 against the Jets. Number 5, Cade York stays perfect. Number 4, Brissett finds his groove. Number 3, Martin Emerson, the rookie, records his first pick. Number 2, Nick Chubb scores 2 this time, as it was Hunt last week. This time, Nick Chubb scores twice. And then number 1, Myles Garrett crushes the sack record. He is within striking distance of that. We've already talked about Joe Flacco. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. I can see that happening.
Certainly, I think that Garrett could absolutely do the sack record. I like MJ Emerson to get an interception, too. I thought he played incredibly well in week 1. Surprised that it was him, not A.J. Brown, who drew the start, but he was physical and played like a veteran really, really well on the outside there. I think that he is a really bright spot on that defense there and matches what they're trying to do as far as physicality goes. And he fits into their scheme really well as far as playing zone. And that was one of the things that we read in his profile when he was drafted, and he fit in well on week 1. I think he gets a pick. He was all over the place on Sunday, and I think he'll be again on this Sunday. So Garrett, Chubb, all of those are very likely. You know what I mean? I think that all of those that are listed are very likely on Sunday. I think Browns should have a good week. I think, Brissett missed those early opportunities, but I think they'll be there again. And you just can't miss those explosive plays when they're available. And if they were to hit those, then it never even would have been a close game, right? So I think that that is key for the Browns. But yeah, I like Garrett for the sack record. I like MJ Emerson to get a pick, and Chubb could get two scores very easily. So
I think the most important one is I think if Brissett kind of finds his rhythm in this offense and is able to deliver the ball, and he doesn't have to make crazy plays. If he's able to make the plays that present themselves, this offense will be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think he wasn't great, right, on Sunday, but he did enough to win. And the only thing that I would ask him to do more is just hit the ones when they do take those shot plays and they do get the wide open Kareem Hunt and the wide open Amari Cooper. You've got to hit those, right? Like, those are absolute musts, and guys were running wide open. So I think he gets into a rhythm and plays better. And this would be a good week to do it, too, because I know that the Jets are improved in talent, but this should be a game that the Browns win going away, in my opinion.
Yeah, how do you see this one playing out? And again, I know you have Garrett Wilson, I know you have Elijah Moore, I know you have Hall, and there are some very talented young skill position players, but that line is beat up, and that's not a good – if you are a beat-up offensive line, this is a bad defense to face.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It should be a total mismatch in the front seven for the Browns defense. I think I saw the over/under at like 39. I think it's an under game, but I think the Browns win by like 2 touchdowns. I would have it like 24-10 or 24-13, something like that. I think that they stay with the ground game, take your shots and play action. And really, the defense causes a couple turnovers here, I think, and gets you a couple easy scores, and you win by 2 touchdowns. At least they should if they play well. And really, you'll be watching. You want to win this game, obviously, but you'll be watching for a couple steps in the right direction, right? No blown coverages on defense. Brissett hitting the easy ones, the deep ones. You've got to take advantage of the explosives. And, of course, continuing to get pressure on the quarterback, because that's going to be absolutely key for these – that until they get Watson back, if he does come back, they need to be a defense that turns you over and takes advantage of those opportunities.
Agree wholeheartedly. Brad, appreciate the time and the insight. Brad Ward from BrownsWire.com, as well as the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Dave.
All right, Brad Ward, again, host of the All Eyez on Cleveland podcast. We're going to turn our attention to Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs. Cavs beat reporter Chris Fedor from the Plain Dealer at cleveland.com. Straight ahead on Sports4CLE. Stay with us.
Come back to go forward. Back to learning new things. Back to pursuing your dreams. Tri-C has flexible learning options to fit your life. And every year, more than 1,000 local companies provide Tri-C students with real-world learning. The right education can boost your lifetime earning power by hundreds of thousands of dollars. Start now with a college education you can afford. Tri-C, where futures begin.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
The Greater Cleveland Sports Hall of Fame celebrates the star athletes and notable sports figures who were born or have made their home in Greater Cleveland. It tells the story of discipline, commitment, perseverance, sportsmanship, and excellence in achievement. It encourages and inspires those who believe in sport and its direct impact on the well-being of our community. Go to clevelandsportshall.com or follow us on Twitter at GCLE Sports HOF for more details.
The Cavaliers presented Donovan Mitchell to the media, welcomed him to town wearing the number 45, posing there with Kobe Altman as well as J.B. Bickerstaff. Let's listen to Donovan Mitchell about becoming a Cleveland Cavalier and his thoughts.
When I found out who was on the team, I was like, man, like, you know, like Kobe said, like we can really do something. But at the end of the day, like, you know, that was the biggest thing for me. I was like, wow, we have a team that really can compete. A team, like I said, that was in the play-in game, but was in third for most of the year until, you know, some injuries had come about and whatnot. And, you know, for me, just bringing my playoff experience and what I've seen to a group that's already phenomenal, I think that can be really special. For us, you know, we have to go out there and do the work. You know, on paper, you know, we look scary, but, you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to what we do in the gym. It starts like we had a good run today. We're going to continuously have good work, you know, so I can't sit here and tell you like, yeah, this is like a championship team. We got to go out there and prove it every night. You know, we're going to have good months, good weeks, good days. We're going to have bad weeks, and bad days. But for us, if we can continue to put the work in night and night out, you know, and continue to put that effort in, you know, with the right play, you know, we might do something.
Let's welcome in Chris Fedor, Cavs beat reporter for Plain Dealer as well as cleveland.com. You were out at the press conference welcoming Donovan Mitchell. Just your thoughts, Chris.
I thought he came across great, first of all. Breath of fresh air. You can tell that he's mature. You can tell that he's been around the NBA and he's had a number of these kinds of conversations with members of the media. Thought he was very well spoken. I thought he expanded on a lot of the things. And my biggest takeaway, Dave, was that he thought he was going to New York. The rest of the NBA thought he was going to New York. But for him to say that when he heard about the trade, he was running around the golf course because he was so excited about the team that he was joining and about the players that he was going to get to play alongside. That to me resonated because, you know, obviously Donovan Mitchell has a player option in his contract 3 years down the road, and the recruitment of Donovan Mitchell essentially started today. And the Cavs have 2.5 years or so to convince him that this is the place that he should be. This is the place where he wants to be. And he said today that he's excited about this opportunity with the Cavs and the guys that he's playing alongside.
And again, he doesn't have to say that. I mean, he can just not go down that road, but he went down that road. Yep. Take a listen, Kobe Altman, and it was him explaining why this move makes sense for the Cavs right now.
I mean, we're still super young. We have to go through some trials and tribulations. We got to go through some failures and come back even stronger. But when you talk about adding Donovan, who's played 39 playoff games, you know, that enhances our acceleration. And I'm excited. I think we've earned the opportunity to try to compete against the best in the world. And it's an exciting group that we have great character, great work ethic, and most importantly, guys that really want to be in Cleveland. I think that's really important. We're super young, and the timeline fits to bring in this caliber of player with this group. And let's rock. I mean, let's rock out. I'm excited to see what it looks like, but there's a runway here, and I don't want everyone to think that, this year we have to be contention or bust. That's not what this is. There's a real runway here for these guys to grow together, learn how to play together, and get better each year, and grow to hopefully some really exciting basketball.
And again, you just brought in probably, arguably, the best talent on your roster. It's not a great fit, but anytime you can go out and get the best guy on your roster, you go do it and you figure everything else out, right?
Yeah, I think so, Dave. And you're right. Stylistically, like if the Cavs walked into a quote-unquote superstar NBA store and they had their choice of taking any one of the guys that was there, I don't think their first pick would have been Donovan Mitchell. But there is no NBA superstar store that these general managers and executives can walk into and just say, hey, I want Brandon Ingram. Hey, I want Kevin Durant. Hey, I want, Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. The Cavs could only try and pursue the guys that were, quote unquote, available this offseason. And for them, it represents a significant talent upgrade. So, yeah, he's 6'1". Yeah, he's a shooting guard. Yeah, he's a score-first guy. Yeah, he's somebody who's going to dominate possessions, and you wonder how that's going to work alongside Darius Garland. And there are legitimate questions there. But the talent level increase that the Cavs are now getting by getting somebody like Donovan Mitchell is something that they couldn't turn down. Because here's the other thing, and Kobe Altman alluded to it there, Dave. It's not just the talent upgrade. It's the fact that he fits their timeline. He's under contract for at least the next 3 years. And, for all of the questions about Utah and how it was going to work there and whether they were going to keep it together, everybody that either Kobe talked to or head coach J.B. Bickerstaff talked to raved about Donovan Mitchell, the player and the person. So he fits from a chemistry standpoint, too. These kinds of opportunities to get in prime all-stars that are under team control and fit your timeline don't come around every single offseason, and the Cavs had to pounce on it.
Yeah, and again, he's 26, and he's the old guy, so you've got 4 all-star caliber guys that are 26 or younger. Let that sink in for a minute. J.B. Bickerstaff talked a little bit about the problems that this team with Donovan Mitchell can present. Listen to J.B. Bickerstaff.
It doesn't change what we want to do and how we play. We live our lives every single day by trying to do 2 things. We want to be the most competitive team and the most selfless team. So he'll come in and he'll fit right away with that. As a coaching staff, we sit back and, we have all these grand ideas, and it just goes to another level when you think about, the dynamic offense that we can put on the floor and the threats that we have on the floor. Like, you think about these 3 guys that are sitting here in front of us, and if you're an opposing coach, what decision are you going to make? Who are you going to stay home on? Who are you going to leave? And then you throw in, Kevin Love popping on the perimeter, J.A. and Evan rolling, or now they get the ball in the pocket. So these guys can present some problems for people. But again, it's going to start about us being unselfish. But I told Donovan and I've told Darius and Karis this as well. It's like, you got to be the best version of yourself, right? Don't come in on your heels trying to figure it out. Like, we want all of you guys to be aggressive with the mindset that we're going to share the game and then make defenses have to make tough decisions.
Chris, I loved that last part of that. Don't try to fit into the system. We'll figure out how to use you best is basically what he's telling them.
Yeah, that's an important thing, too. And I think what JV was talking about is by the end of the season, because of the injuries that the Cavs had sustained, Jared Allen was down. Obviously, they lost Colin Sexton in November. Ricky Rubio tore his ACL in late December, and then he was traded to Indiana as part of that Karis LeVert deal. And LeVert wasn't 100%, and he wasn't himself. So by the end of the season, everything was on the shoulders of Darius Garland. Darius, create offense for others. Darius, create offense for yourself. And the entire NBA world knew what the Cavs were trying to do offensively. So Darius was a marked man for opposing defenses. Go back and look at the play-in tournament against Brooklyn, against Atlanta. Sometimes they were throwing multiple defenders against Darius because they were like, hey, nobody else out there is going to be able to beat us. Nobody else out there is going to be able to make plays for the Cavs. Nobody else out there is going to be somebody that we have to worry about in terms of putting together our opposing scouting report. Now, if you think about what they have on paper anyway, Donovan Mitchell is a guy who commands that same attention, Dave. The same kind of attention that Darius Garland commanded at the end of the season. Well, that doesn't work that way in the NBA. You can't put all of your eyes on Darius Garland and all of your eyes on Donovan Mitchell when both of them are on the court together. And Karis LeVert can take advantage of that as well, because not as much pressure is going to be on him, not as much expectation is going to be on him either. So Donovan's the kind of guy who makes everybody around him better by the attention that he commands from opposing defenses. And Darius commands that same attention. And it's a pick your poison type situation that defenses are going to have to face. And just by having those two guys on the court together, that's going to open up things for everybody else offensively.
Yeah, it will be a fun team to watch. Best part of it, they're young and ascending, and they're going to be figuring it out together. Chris Fedor, thanks so much for taking some time and joining us. Appreciate it very much.
You got it, Dave. Anytime, man.
All right, Chris Fedor, Cavs beat reporter, talking about Donovan Mitchell being welcomed to Cleveland. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports for CLE. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow at 4 on Sports for CLE.